How is it going, guys? I am so sorry that I disappeared for some time due to life getting in the way, and I hope that this doesn't happen in the future. A new thing for the channel is that from now on I will finish the games I play with 100% completion to stick out from other reviewers. We are here again with another review, and this time we will visit a world that many of us remember watching or reading when we were kids. Well, maybe not totally the same, but in a sense. The question is it worth your time? Let's find out. The game we are reviewing is Lies of P. Lies of P was released the 18th of September 2023 on Xbox One, Xbox Series XS, Windows Mac OS, PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. The game was developed and published by a company called UX Games, and it seems like a surprise since the company has had a pretty rough time with games being shut down like Bless Online, Bless Unleashed, and Alien that got shut down in the West region, and here comes Lies of P like a breath of fresh air. It is also confirmed by the company that there will be future DLC and a sequel. In Lies of P, we are playing as Geppetto's puppet, Pinocchio, where we try to understand what happened in the city of Krat. They found a strange substance in a relic called Trismegistus called Ergo, which was first discovered 600 years ago. With this substance, they were able to make living puppets to serve humanity. But as in every movie where humans create life, comes destruction. A puppet uprising and an epidemic called the petrification disease is now slowly destroying the city, and it's up to us to stop it by any means necessary. I think the story is great. It has a mix of darkness, mystery, and sadness that fits the world perfectly, and I am really looking forward to a DLC and a sequel. Lies of P is set in the Belle Epoque, which is a period of French, Belgian, and European history, usually considered to begin around 1871 and 1880 and ended at the beginning of World War I in 1914. Lies of P has a dark and eerie look that reminds us a lot of the world of Bloodborne. The view of the game is amazing to look at, and as you travel through the different areas of the game, you will both feel on edge, curious about what's waiting around the next corner. As you move deeper into the city of Krat, you will notice that everything isn't going as planned, and it does feel like people you meet aren't telling the whole truth, which makes you want to explore as much as you can to find out what pieces of the puzzle you are missing. While the game isn't as lore-rich as Dark Souls, it still has a very interesting story that is easier to follow up on. Things are more explained in Lies of P, but you still have to explore and gather evidence to get the full picture. I think that this game does an amazing job at keeping you interested and engaged in the city of Krat. You will also face different enemies like enraged puppets in all sizes, different robotic animals, and my personal favorite, the undead carcasses. Just the name makes you shiver. While exploring the city of Krat, the most things you will hear is angry puppets and carcasses roaming around in the city, and that there is no music in the background since it would distract you from the ambience of the world. But during boss encounters, or if you are in Hotel Krat, which is the main hub in the game, there is music. The game does have some amazing music that you can collect during your travels, and some of these songs are just amazing. But there was one song that just made me stand by the record player and cry over how beautiful it was. I love using keyboard and mouse, but I have to admit, there are some games where you just need to have a controller. The character moves realistically and intuitively to the response of your input, and the movement feels fluid. The only thing that I would complain about is that there are times when you get animation locked when you do a Fable art, which we will get into a little deeper later in the review. We have the standard barrel roll and evade movement, strong and light attack, where strong attacks also serves as a stagger mechanic. When the health bar of enemies glow white, make sure to charge your heavy attack to stagger them and use it to do even more damage. Like every other Soul game, we level up by killing enemies and collecting Ergos. Ergos use is not only for leveling up, it is also the main currency in the game. It can be used for upgrading, crafting weapons, purchasing things from vendors. We have a skill tree that is called P Organ that can be used by interacting with a chair in Geppetto's office. As you defeat some elite enemies and bosses, you will acquire quartz, which is the main thing you use to upgrade or change P Organ abilities. You can also acquire quartz from different vendors in the game or find them scattered around the city of Krot. Upgrading P Organs can vary from increasing pulse cells or enhancing resistances and much more. Combat is very straightforward. We have a light attack and a heavy attack where the animation changes depending on what kind of weapon you have, but we also have something called Fable Arts. The blue bars on the top of your screen is called a Fable meter, which fills up when you hit enemies or block incoming attacks, or you could use the Fable Catalyst that you will find when exploring the city of Krot. Once this bar is filled, you will be able to use a more advanced attack. Fable Arts is a moveset that differs depending on your choice of weapon. While this sounds like a nice addition, it does need some work. Firstly, it needs to be high risk, high reward, but it ends up being more high risk with very little reward. Secondly, you get animation locked, and some of these Fable Arts take a few seconds to finish, which leaves you open to incoming attacks that interrupt the whole animation and also depletes your Fable meter. This led me in the direction of not using Fable Arts that much since the risk was not worth it. While some enemies do slower attacks, others will be extremely fast and aggressive. Therefore, you really need to time it right when using heavy attacks, and I bet that depends on what build you went for. I went with the technique build since I've played Souls-like games, and usually strength builds are best at the start and to the middle of the game, and then it gets more difficult as I've learned from past experiences. We also have posture damage in Lies of P, which means that when doing a perfect guard or continuous light heavy attacks, which will put the puppet in a groggy state, opening up for strong attacks that does more damage. The posture damage is not visible, which can confuse some players, but to be honest, it didn't faze me that much. If a fight is too difficult, you can get help from a specter by interacting with the magical blue stand of water outside the boss area. To summon it, you need a star fragment, which you will find in different locations. While the specter doesn't do much damage, it can help you get free attacks while the boss is focused on the specter. We do have some pretty awesome bosses in this game, and they did a great job on the variation. You never feel like you repeat yourself, and every boss is unique in its own way. The difficulty was fair and I never felt cheated. Did I get angry? Oh yeah. But that's how these games are supposed to be. But I think that the balance between the different bosses was amazing and very fun to fight against. Since I played until New Game Plus 4, it got easier and easier. For people that struggle, take your time. Learn their moves and you will get them. And if it's too difficult, there is no shame in using a specter. Play the game as you see fit and don't listen to people that are telling you that you can't play a certain way. Do it your way. In Lies of P, there are a total of 40 pre-assembled weapons that you can find in the world, and all of these have different scalings to let you know which stat is best to level up for the weapon you end up using. The scaling goes from A to D, with a few weapons that can be modified to a scale S, which is the best scaling for a weapon. So instead of strength and dexterity, we have motivity, technique, and advance. Motivity is usually for heavier weapons with a lot of guard. Technique tends to be for quicker, more nimble weapons, and lastly we have advanced, which is for weapons that do other than physical damage, like acid. In Lies of P, there are different handles and blades that you can use to create unique weapons. You will discover fully forged weapons that can be dismantled in two parts, the blade and the handle, which both have different weapon skills that are bound to them. You can do this at a Stargazer and also at Hotel Krot via an NPC. You can also upgrade your weapons with the same NPC if you have the right material and enough ergos to spend on it. You will also have a grinder that you can use to repair your weapon whenever you want, but you can also get a grinder that both repairs and infuses your weapon with different elements like fire or acid and more. Not only do we have melee weapons at our disposal, we also have a Legion arm, which is a metal arm that can be upgraded. As you play, you will eventually be able to craft other Legion arms that have different effects on how your fight style will be. I personally use the puppet string and Aegi shield most of the time since they suited how I played the game. I really enjoyed this addition and it can really help out with the more thick-skinned enemies in the game, but also with bosses. At a later point in the game, the player will be presented with something called gold coin fruit that grows on a tree inside of Hotel Krot. These gold coin fruits can be used to buy wish stones that have different uses like healing your specter in a boss battle, force the boss to focus the specter for a period of time, and so on and so forth. But you can't just go and pick as many as you want. One gold coin fruit will take 10 minutes in game to grow. Up to 8 fruits can be grown, but you can pick up coins before it's fully grown. The amount can also be changed using the P organ skill tree to give you more gold coins per 10 minutes. Since patch 1.2.0.0, you can now use these coins to reset your level, your P organ, and your Legion arm upgrades. Since the patch, you now receive 8 coins instead of 5 for your first harvest, and the required amount for resetting levels also changed. In the world of P, you will collect Aragos as you kill enemies, and in this game Arago is very important since it's not only used to get stronger but also to upgrade and purchase different items in the game. Upon death, you will drop all your Aragos in the place you died, and if you die from falling, the Aragos will respawn at a location where you can collect them. However, if you were to die a second time before reaching your dropped Aragos, your Aragos will drop where you recently died, and with the penalty making the recoverable amount a fraction compared to what you had before. Not only that, depending on how many times you get hit while traveling to your dropped Aragos, there will also be a reduction penalty when receiving your Aragos. Luckily, the game does not drop your Aragos in boss areas. It will instead respawn outside the boss area, making it easy to collect. There are also P organ upgrades that you can get that will reduce the amount of Aragos lost if you die a second time before reaching them. As you explore the city of Krat, you will discover Stargazers that work like checkpoints in Lies of P. They are also used to fast travel between other Stargazers that you have interacted with. Upon resting, you will regain your health, your pulse cells will be restocked, and other items if you have it in your storage, among other things. Here you can also assemble weapons, level up, switch your Legion arm, and change your wish stone. It will also remove any status effect inflicted on you. The game is a challenge both when it comes to elite and boss enemies, but it is more forgiving than other Souls games. For example, if you die in a boss area, your Aragos will drop outside of the entrance for you to pick up. It is also more forgiving in the way the Stargazers are placed, since almost every boss battle has one in close proximity, which can make the game feel easier, but I enjoyed the way the developers did this, and it didn't take away anything from the game in my opinion. Even if I compare Lies of P with other Souls games in the review, Lies of P succeeds standing on its own with its outstanding atmosphere, engaging and well-written story, fluid movement mechanics. The only negative that bothered me was the animation lock during Fable Arts, and if interrupted, the Fable meter will still be depleted, and even if you succeed with it, the reward for it is not worth the risk. The final verdict for Lies of P is a 9 out of 10. It is a brilliant game in my book, and I do look forward to seeing what the developers come up with in the sequel. Is this game worth your time? It definitely is. And it is a great experience. Well guys, that was it for this time, and I know that I don't put out as many videos as I had done before, and I'm sorry about that. Life sometimes gets in the way, and I do hope that's okay. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, and you have some time to spare, why not check out my other videos? You might find something you enjoy. Thank you for watching, and remember, life is too short to play bad games. Let me help you find the best. See you guys.